The sun was dipping low as I drove back down the dusty road to my farm. Muscles tense, every mile dragging like it knew what waited at the gate. 10 hours on the road, and I just wanted to see my land, my property, the place I'd fought for. That's when I noticed her. Karen standing by the mailbox like she owned the horizon, waving a fake badge in her hand. "Stop right there, you can't enter," she screamed. My heart skipped, but I didn't slam the brakes. I knew she was bluffing. She always was. As I parked, she lunged, waving papers, shouting about HOA rules and fines that didn't exist. "I will have you arrested if you step 1 foot closer," she shrieked, her voice cracking like she'd been rehearsing this scene for weeks. I stayed calm, gripping my keys because I knew what she didn't. I wasn't alone. My phone buzzed. My Marine buddy, Rick, had been watching the security cameras all day, texting updates every time Karen moved. Karen's eyes narrowed as she noticed me ignoring her threats. She tried to push forward, but a shadow appeared behind her. Rick stepped out from the tree-line, crisp uniform, calm but intimidating. "I'd step back if I were you," he said. The way he moved, the confidence. Karen froze. Her fake authority evaporated under his stare. "You think this farm belongs to you?" she spat, clutching her clipboard like a weapon. "I've got HOA rules right here." I leaned against the truck, smirking. "Funny, because the only rule you're breaking is trespassing." Her jaw dropped. She looked like she'd just realized the whole world was against her. My phone buzzed again. Security footage showing her planting fake notices and trying to lure me into a trap. I held it up. "Smile, Karen." The camera saw everything. She turned red, took a step back, and I realized this wasn't going to be her day. And just like that, the first crack in her scheme appeared. I could almost hear the gears in her mind turning. Panic setting in. Karen's face twisted, half fury, half fear. She shouted something about calling real cops, but Rick didn't flinch. He pulled out his phone and dialed a number, his voice low but firm. I couldn't hear what he said, but the way Karen's eyes widened, it wasn't good news for her. She started pacing, mumbling, trying to act like she had a plan. I stepped closer to the gate, watching her fumble with papers. "Funny," I said. "You've been running HOA scams here for months, and now your timing couldn't be worse." She spun toward me, rage bubbling over. "You don't own this property. You think you're above the rules?" I just smiled, my hand resting on the truck. "I own this land, Karen, and these rules, not a single one applies to me." Suddenly, she pulled a phone from her pocket, waving it like a weapon. "I'm calling the cops right now," but before she could hit dial, Rick's voice cut through. "They'll be here in 5, and I already told them everything." Karen's mouth fell open. She looked like she'd been caught trying to cheat at a card game she thought she'd rigged. Then came the twist I didn't see coming. She lunged toward the gate to block me, thinking she could intimidate me into leaving. But the ground beneath her gave way slightly. She stumbled, losing her balance. I caught the moment on my security cam feed, and Rick laughed quietly. "Guess nature has rules she can't ignore," he muttered. Karen scrambled, red-faced, trying to regain authority. I walked past her slowly, feeling the tension crack in the air. My property, my land, and now she knew it. She opened her mouth to yell, but the sound stuck in her throat as Rick stepped forward, tall and steady, blocking her escape. Karen's panic turned into desperation. She ran toward her car, thinking she could drive off and regroup. But Rick was already there, calm and fast. He blocked her path with a simple step. Hands relaxed, but his presence like a steel wall. "Where do you think you're going?" he asked. Her fake confidence evaporated completely. I walked closer, flipping open my phone to show the latest security footage. Her sneaking around the barn, trying to plant fake HOA notices, even snapping photos of my property lines. She froze, staring at the screen as if it burned her eyes. That's not proof," she stammered. "Actually, it is," I said, voice steady. "And it's going straight to the sheriff in 10 minutes. Her lips trembled. She looked around, realizing for the first time that all her little schemes, all her fake authority, meant nothing here. My Marine friend Rick didn't move, just watched her crumble, letting the truth sink in. Then came the next twist. Karen's phone rang. She answered, thinking it was backup, maybe someone to help her fight us, but the voice on the line wasn't friendly. It was the HOA lawyer. "We reviewed your complaint," the lawyer said flatly. "You've been misrepresenting the HOA. Any further action could be criminal." Karen's eyes went wide. Her plan was unraveling faster than she could react. I leaned against the truck, arms crossed, feeling the satisfaction bubble up. "Looks like your fake rules don't scare anyone here," I said. She opened her mouth, tried to argue, but words failed her. The sound of the wind through the trees, the crunch of gravel under my boots. It was the soundtrack of her defeat. Karen's face twisted in fury and disbelief. She turned toward me, her voice shaking. You can't do this. I run this neighborhood." I shook my head slowly. "You don't run anything here. You just pretend to." Rick stepped closer, eyes locked on her, calm but sharp. "You've crossed a line, Karen. You can't harass people on their own land." Suddenly, Karen tried one last desperate move. She grabbed a hose from the side of her car, aiming to spray mud at me as I walked toward the gate. I dodged, and the stream hit a tree instead, water spraying everywhere. She stumbled, slipping in the mud, and fell hard on her side. I kept walking, shaking my head, letting the camera capture every second. The humiliation was total and legal. Then the twist I hadn't expected. She yelled something about calling the media to ruin me. I smiled and held up my phone. Funny, I already live-streamed this. People are watching Karen, and they see exactly who's lying. Her eyes darted around, realizing this wasn't just her neighborhood anymore. The world was watching. Rick stepped back, letting me handle the last moment. I walked up to the gate, glanced at Karen sprawled in the mud, and said calmly, "You tried to ambush me on my own land, and failed. Remember that?" She could only glare, mud stray across her face, powerless and exposed. The tension hung heavy for a moment, the sun dipping behind the trees, casting long shadows over my farm. Karen finally scrambled to her feet, furious but defeated, knowing she had no backup, no authority, no escape. She opened her mouth, probably to yell more threats, but the sound of approaching siren stopped her cold. The real sheriff's car rolled down the gravel driveway, lights flashing, and Karen's fake bravado crumbled completely. The sheriff stepped out, calm but firm, and Rick handed over the phone with all the security footage. "This woman has been impersonating HOA officials, trespassing, and attempting to intimidate the property owner," Rick explained. The sheriff nodded, scanning the evidence. Karen tried to protest, but every word was drowned out by the overwhelming proof stacked against her. I watched as the officers escorted her away, her face a mix of anger, shame, and disbelief. My farm was safe, my family secure, and every inch of my land respected. I leaned against the truck, Rick beside me, the wind rustling through the fields. It felt quiet, victorious, and right. I stepped into the house, my wife waiting with a grin. "Heard Karen tried to ruin your day?" she asked. I laughed, shaking my head. "She tried, but she forgot one thing. You don't mess with people who defend what's theirs." That night, as the stars stretched over the farm, I knew the story would be remembered, not just for the chaos, but for the justice served. Karen had underestimated us, underestimated the truth, and most of all, underestimated what it means to defend your own land. The end. Please visit my new channel link in the description. Watch the videos, enjoy them, and don't forget to subscribe. Don't miss out on the new HOA stories.